All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How you doing? Well, I have a short amount of time today. I'm gonna have to stop the show a little bit earlier than I usually do. I went long yesterday, so I guess maybe that'll make up for it. So I'm gonna jump right into it. I do want to just alert people that I'm going to be jumping off of YouTube somewhere in the middle of the show, maybe sooner, because I want to talk about some things. I want to talk about some things that I don't know. I don't know the parameters of what's allowed on YouTube anymore. I have no idea. So I just try and err on the side. Oh my God. Sorry, I was muted on Callin, but I'm live on Callin. I'm also unmuted on Callin. Welcome to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Um, yeah, I want to talk about something, but I have to talk about it off of YouTube. And so I greatly encourage people who want to watch the whole show or take part in conversations around other things or around other items. Please follow me on Rockfin, ad free, censorship free. It's a good place to be. All right. We're going to talk about, well, the thing I want to talk about is the idea that there is a, how can I put this? Like a depopulation thing happening. I can't really go into any deeper than that. And I want to, ask people's opinions about it. I want to talk about it a little bit. I am always, always, always willing and open to change my mind on things given information, right? So, given new information, I am not stuck to one particular position on anything. All right, so welcome people, YouTubers, how are you? There's actually a lot of people, I've noticed there's a lot of people on YouTube kind of skirting whatever rules they might be by emphatically stating that they align with the accepted narrative on YouTube, right? That they're only covering things, from a journalistic perspective. And, in some cases it kind of works. For quite a few people, it kind of works. And I've seen people have success at it. I don't know. It's hard for me I have impulse control issues. So it's hard for me to, to always check myself before I wreck myself. As far as like things I'm saying. So, but we're going to actually watch a few videos from Dr. John Campbell, who is on YouTube and is saying, all manner of things in a very scientific, studious, factual way. He's saying a lot of things that a lot of people have a hard time saying on YouTube, and he's saying them. Is it a matter of time before he does not get to say those things? One can only wonder. Let's start here. I saw this right before the show, and I just had to say this is this is why stuff like this is the reason why the human race is going downhill. Stuff like this. I'm not saying that everything we do is terrible, but like this guy, I don't know, and I don't even know. I mean, I think people think this is funny. This guy built a 3,000-pound sarcophagus for a bag of flaming hot Cheetos and buried it for future civilizations to find. Okay. I guess on some levels I can appreciate the engineering feat that this took, but my God. The amount of materials that this used, and I retweeted this and said this, the amount of material used for this frivolously stupid stunt is staggering. This level of waste should absolutely be illegal. Like you shouldn't not even be but this is the world we live in, which is, you can do anything you want, get anything you want. If you have some money, you can just buy whatever you want and do anything you want with it. And I actually disagree with that. I think there should be limits to what you can buy and do and use it for. I'm gonna, build a big, I'm going to build, some big thing and blow it up. Okay, no, you should not be allowed to do that. That level of waste should not be allowed. should be against the law on some levels, and it's certainly against, you know, it certainly is more in line with like humans just absolutely destroying the planet, you know, for fun and relaxation, right? And you know, I don't know what more to say about this. All I know is that I would, you know, if I could slap this guy, I would, because he thinks he's funny and ha ha ha, just because he can do it. But I mean, this guy is you know, a high level moron. Is a high level moron. You should never do stuff like this. I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. We're gonna move on. Please don't do stuff like that. Good Lord, please don't do stuff like that. And all the people, all the libertarians, well, what is illegal? What's legal then? What can you do? What if you're building something that's important? Well, I don't know. Maybe you should submit plans and drawings. I mean, I have a radical position in life. You know, I am of the mind that things should not be, you know, you shouldn't just be able to go to the Home Depot and just buy all kinds of stuff for your house. I know that's fun and it's cool and it's easy, but I don't believe that's necessary. Honestly, what I think is that there should not be a Home Depot or anything like that. There should be a community hardware, you know, warehouse where you can, you know, hey, I need some nails and wood stuff so I can construct like a chicken coop or a, you know, planter bed. Right? And you go to your community, you know, house where they have all this stuff, and you go talk to the person, you know, that's probably there, and you go, you know, you just have a conversation with them. I need these things for this, this, and this. And they go, yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. Go on in and get it, right? Because we have plenty of those things here, right? Like that's, you know, in my vision of the world, that's how that should work. We have plenty of these things here because we produced them all during the 20th century. We have a surplus of all of this stuff, and there's no need to actually produce it anymore because there's plenty of this stuff for very, you know, reasonable uses, right? Like, you know, putting something on your house, repairing some stairs on your house, something like that, right? And, you know, if you go to your local community warehouse where they have all the hardware stuff and you go, hey, I want to, you know, I'm constructing some kind of thing so I can blow it up because we think that's funny. They'd be like, get the fuck out of here. you absolute moron. No. That's what the answer would be to that. But we don't have that. We have a Home Depot where you can just buy and do everything you want. And, what you know, however frivolous and wasteful it is, and a lot of people see that as freedom, but other people see that as excess destruction of the planet, which is what it is. That's the correct one. Excess destruction of the planet at your fingertips, just because you have some money. That's actually truly what it is. It is not freedom. Freedom to destroy yourself is what it is. Gene asks, how will people show their community the value if they can't have a huge house with a bunch of stuff in it? Oh, well, no, I mean, I don't. I'm actually, I mean, I think you're being facetious, but yeah. Anyways, let's keep going. Extreme warmth in October. We've been talking about this. Extremely warm. Sorry for all my cursing and filth and flooring right in the beginning of the show. I really try to not go with all that. Yeah. So I apologize, but that actually got me like riled up. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about this." And of course, there's a bunch of people on Twitter cheering it on. Hilarious. It's unfortunate that humans are so or such. Anyways, it's very warm. We've been talking about this. It's been very warm. It's a warm fall in a lot of places. It's a warm fall in a lot of the U.S., in Europe. It's a very warm fall. Bobby Davis says, "Let it all out, Kevin." I thank you. I'm glad it's not. I hope I'm not offending anybody, but I mean, yes, you're right. This is therapy on some level, but I do try to get it out so that I'm not like spending my entire day ranting at people who probably don't want to hear me rant. God, what is going on? It's been very warm, unseasonably warm. It's, getting warmer. Of course, we're getting warmer. We know this. And it's really starting to, for some things, it's cool, right? Growing vegetables late into the fall is, it's cool for now. For other things, not so cool. Let's check this out from Jordan Perry. And just, this is his message. Jordan Perry is an end timer, end denier. Nature is primary, water is life, soil is life, diversity is required, tribe is standard, civilization is death. Balance will prevail. Homo colossus is a domesticated, invasive apex predator who is functionally extinct due to overshoot of global industrial civilization. Be well. Yeah. Well, and the guy building a sarcophagus for a bag of Cheetos is exactly the example of why we are going to go extinct. And some people think that's hilarious. Try not to be so dang destructive in the end. Try not to be so uncaring and unfeeling and unconscious, sorry, at the end. The unconsciousness. I'm sorry. I'll stop. Peter Dines. Says, as you look around the general public in your daily lives, do you see anyone acting like their house is on fire? Do you even see people making significant adjustments to their lives to combat their carbon footprints? If not, what does that tell you? I mean, mostly not. Unfortunately, I do see some people making adjustments. I do. There are actually quite a few people who are, gardening and trying to get rid of plastic in their lives. There are people out there. I see people doing it. I see far fewer people doing it than other people that are choosing to just not even give a flying F about anything, right? People who are conscious. People who are awake and aware. Right? People who are aware of the issue, aware of what's going on the planet, aware of everything, and they just are choosing to just be like, yeah, I don't know. That's concerning. It's concerning to me. And there's unconscious people doing that as well, of course, right? That aren't even so, the scales are, way in favor of the unconscious people doing, dumb things, and conscious people doing dumb things, and then conscious people actually trying to do a few things to change themselves. They're out there. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Okay, this is from Poppy. trying to move a little more quickly today. What's up, calling people? How you doing? Tim says here in Belgium, temps normal since this week finally turned the heat on this weekend. That's good. So you're getting a little bit back to normal. That's good. Or what it should be, right? Where we should be in November. Let's check into Rockfin for a second. We got Rockfin people. How you doing? Fireboy says, keep on Rockfin for a free world. Nice. Nicely done. All right. So Poppy posted this, and this is, I was actually going to name this video something else. The thumbnail, again, is some AI art, which is kind of cool. This particular AI art I thought was kind of cool. But just speaking to the strangeness that we are, strange period we're already in, and maybe entering even more strangeness. Who knows? Poppy says, cops not working. Cops as in conference of parties. Ugh, the fossil fuel industry is experiencing a remarkable rebound with sudden momentum behind more than 80 projects that range from coal-fired power plants to hulking gas export terminals. Yeah, fossil fuels are coming back. World leaders reckon with a flurry of new activity on natural gas and coal ahead of the climate summit. Well, whenever there's an emergency or there's a war or there's something, inflation, well, we got to just go back to the thing that we were doing. We got to revert, for safety, of course. We have to just keep the lights on, and okay. So I'm not urging people to be starved out or frozen to death. That's not what I'm urging. I'm just saying we could probably do this in a better way, right? It's full steam ahead. Oil and gas, we need more of it, of course, and we're going to need plenty more. Where that came from. And we're, at the same time that we're saying climate change is an issue, we're also saying, well, we're going to need a whole lot more oil and gas, right? We're saying those things at the same time. We, as in a society, the human project. That's what the human project is saying. Anyways, UN Climate Summit in Glasgow ended last year with a resounding repudiation of fossil fuels, with countries including the United States signaling that would be a costly mistake to move forward with big new oil, gas, and coal projects. But a year later, the fossil fuel industry is experiencing a remarkable rebound with sudden momentum behind more than 80 projects that range from coal-fired power plants to hulking gas export terminals, many of which would lock the world into decades of new greenhouse gas emissions. The backsliding is occurring as nations grope for alternatives to Russian natural gas, cut off by sanctions after the invasion of Ukraine. It will be a major point of tension at this year's Global Climate Summit, which begins in Egypt on Sunday. So it throws the carbon budget, which we don't have, into jeopardy, right? So, not not unexpected, that this kind of stuff would happen, right? And you could probably guess that this would be the timeline for trying to do something about climate change, quote unquote, which is, some people would start to, you can see it happening in the U.S. and you can see what people are saying about the U.S. energy policy, which has been to curtail fossil fuel production and or refining abilities. And because some of the projects have been, there's been money taken away from developing new oil projects in the United States. A lot of people, there's people on the right mostly yelling and screaming, "Oh, this is just stupid policy, and this is getting us into trouble." And yeah, if you want to keep the global economy going, it is. Hey, come on now. We don't need no weird. All right. If we need a, sorry, is the volume low for you? Sorry if it is. What was I saying? It is. Stupid policy if you want to keep, industrial civilization going as we know it. But just trying to curtail fossil fuel projects, right, is just going to get you in economic trouble. It's, we are in a predicament. Is the sound lower? That seems weird. All right. Right, we're in a predicament because it's very, hard. It's hard, if not impossible, to get out of the situation that we're in. What we need is a swift drawdown of industrial civilization into something different, right? Into something, much more agricultural, much less industrial, right? Something like that. And nobody wants that, right? Nobody really wants that. Nobody is really prepared for that. Nobody is prepared to acknowledge that that is the answer. If there was an answer, that would be the closest one. Nobody wants that. And so trying to do something about climate change while not educating people on the fact that that is the direction that we actually need to go in is going to just create it's just going to create a bunch of other problems. Like a failing economy, and then and then the global economy could collapse, and then then you'll have mayhem, pandemonium, and you may get some of what you want just because the global economy collapsed. Who knows? But that's not the way to do it, right? That's obviously very messy. That's obviously very destructive and hurtful. So we're probably going to see more of this, right? More as time goes on, especially in the next decade or two. You're going to see more commitments to climate change, right? Oh, we got to do these. We're dead set on this goal of net zero by I don't know, pick a date. But the reality is that we're not going to be able to get there, and and at the same time there's going to be, well, we're committed to this net zero by 2060, but we're going to build some more coal-fired power plants, right? Meanwhile, in China, India, wherever, Africa, we might even start some back up in Europe and the U.S., right? I predict a day in the next decade where you're somewhere in Europe and somewhere in the U.S., somebody's going to be like, whew, blowing the dust off an old coal-fired power plant. They're like, man, we really need this one right now, because things will be getting bad. Things will be getting bad as things fall apart. And so you're gonna just have these just oafish, stumbling, bumbling attempts to do something about climate change, and probably going to make things worse for everybody along the way. And then, nobody's going to know what to do, and things are going to fall apart, and governments are going to collapse, and, strong men type leader people will come in and, try and, right the wrongs and put everything back together and, make Hungary great again, or make, whatever, make Bosnia great again, make the U.S. great again, make Canada great again, something, and they'll be trying to, well, you know what we need to do? We need to restart these coal-fired power plants that we had shuttered, because this is nonsense, right? And that's just what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, right? I wish that weren't true. I wish that weren't true. But until somebody starts actually talking sense, on somebody, Tulsi Gabbard or somebody with a, big old reach starts talking sense about what it is that actually needs to happen on the planet. And even if they did, people would be like, "What are you saying? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. Please talk slower so I can understand." People are just not going to get what, even if somebody was talking sense, people would refuse to understand it, and people will resist, as they already are, I don't know. I don't even want to call it climate denialism, but just climate. What do we say? Climate unawareness is growing because nobody wants to understand it. It doesn't matter whether it's real or not. You just like, no, I don't want to look at it. I'm good. I'm cool. I'd rather be unaware. I'd rather remain unaware because to be aware is a little too frightening. What's up, Brady? I'm going to take your call in just a minute or two, if you can hang on. Anyways, let's stop there, and because I got to move on. I'm going to check the coffees. I don't have any coffees yet. A really good way to support the channel is buymeacoffee.com/BlackBearNews. Or on the screen, you can see there's a Cash App address, which is also a good way to support the show. Also, Rockfin tips are super awesome. I like Rockfin tips too. Let's take this call. Brady, how you doing?
Doing really good, man.
Cool.
Wondering if you have the context for the whole climate issue of like the greenwashing movement, if you're familiar with the term greenwashing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, that's included somewhere in everything that I've been saying. I don't know if you heard what I was talking about there, but
yeah, there's a lot of that. They're trying to privatize the natural commons, that being like the literal atmosphere.
right, which is which I think is the
crazy.
opposite of what people would be good for people, right?
Yeah, we saw what privatizing the medical industry did for our health in general,
right.
And I mean, if we went back to a nonprofit model for Medicare, oh my God, that would just save. That would solve the whole problem. That would solve the problem. Like the solution is staring us in the face because we had it.
Yeah. Sir, you are correct, sir. I agree with you. Yeah.
But I realize it's a reach. The vampires have firmly got their grips around it, and so it's all about prying their fingers loose one at a time. And what is your like? I have one kind of like concern. Like I admit that like bothers me about the whole climate thing.
Okay.
And that's the extraplanetary temperatures, like on Mars and Saturn and Jupiter and every Mercury, Venus. I have a really hard time finding data for like average global temperature over time or like anything like that. I feel like that should be readily available information, but it's like
I honestly don't know because I don't really follow that that concept. Although I've come across it a couple of times, people talking about it, but I don't know that is. It might be part of the equation,
I'd like to,
but I'm not totally sure about that. I don't know.
It's undeniable that the sun started emitting a new kind of light back in like 2017, something like that. A new kind of fusion happened within the sun, and I can account for some of it. The fact that our solar activity could be affecting not only temperature on Earth, but cloud formation on Earth as well could be affected by space weather or solar weather.
Right.
And I just honestly, it's a very complex science. It's a very nuanced and complicated science, and so I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. And I do a science show, and I'll say that this has to do with like ionic, like the ions in the atmosphere and ions from the sun, and like quantum physics involved in our climate. It's so complicated. You know, it's really hard for anyone to have a nuanced conversation about it. So I appreciate you touching on those subjects, though, man. This is interesting. What's
Well,
next?
hold on. Let me, for one thing, what's the name of your show?
Daily Science Report right here on Callin.
Oh, cool. All right, great.
Yeah, check it out, man. There's a lot of good episodes on there.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. The other thing I wanted to ask you, well, so what's this new kind of light? I've never heard anything about this. Honestly.
Yes, started emitting a higher frequency of light, and it is slightly more blue than it used to be. It's a higher frequency. And right around the same time, strangely enough, our Schumann resonance, I don't know if you're familiar, started going haywire.
Okay.
And we had all these wild, I mean, the Schumann resonance is going like off the charts now. And right around the same time, we also noticed a very strange grid pattern emerge within this Schumann resonance, a very faint click that happens every 10 minutes. And no one seems to know what it is yet.
Okay. Yeah, that is strange. Oh well, and just to add another, I guess, large scale thing that's going on that people talk about is the shift in the poles, like a pole shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's an effect
Concerning
of
as well.
something or yeah. And I know I've heard a few things about this, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really like speak authoritatively on it. But it is, something that I'm kind of like paying attention to, peripherally.
I can honestly say the same thing. Like I'm vaguely kind of familiar with it, but it's really hard to kind of put my finger on the science.
Yeah.
Which is strange because this has been such a public debate for so many years. You would think we've gotten to this, right?
Yeah.
But this is absolutely esoteric information as far as the public's concerned.
And I'm, I'd like to know more about it because I am open to more information.
Speculation right now. There's speculation that the 10-minute click could be related to 5G, the 5G grid being turned on. It's just speculation.
Right.
It's interesting to note that the Schumann resonance happens to synchronize with human brainwave patterns.
Okay.
There's a distinct symmetry there.
Yeah.
For example, there's a symmetry between starlight and our visual light spectrum.
Okay.
And so that leads us to kind of speculate. I mean, there's beyond speculation. We know that fluctuations in the Schumann resonance affect our autonomic nervous system, and our heart rate, stuff like that.
Okay. Right. I mean, all of that is, stuff I would like to have more information on, or, if it's available. You're saying like maybe it's not.
A lot of this information is, it's readily available online. Unfortunately, it's just not popular, for whatever reason. We've been kind of led other directions.
Sure.
But Michael Persinger is a brilliant scientist. I'll type his name in the chat for you so you can look him up.
Thank you.
Okay. That's a great read.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Brady. I appreciate the call. I actually have to move on because I have to end the show fairly early today. But I'm going to check your show out. But thanks for calling in. Cool. Yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. All of those things are things that could be in the mix or should be considered to be in the mix. I mean, obviously we are clearly doing damage to the planet, and if only we could stop ourselves from doing the damage to the planet. We might be around long enough to actually study these things a little longer or find more information about it. I don't know. Or maybe the black secret budget, DARPA budget, maybe they're all very clear on all of this stuff, and right, there's secret technologies that we have no idea about, and there's already a lot of information for these people around this, and they're already manipulating it, et cetera, and then if only they could clear some space, from the planet, they'll just take over and do weird things. I don't know. That's all. That's all. Just yeah. That's all supposing. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna jump off of YouTube, guys, because now we're quickly approaching the end of the show, and I just wanted to cover some stuff from Dr. John Campbell about what's going on in his neck of science. Okay. All right, YouTubers, I'll see you tomorrow at noon. Thank you so much.